Let me ask you a question. Think of your favorite show of all time, and think of all the reasons you like this show. And now think about your favorite character. Now, I want you to like and comment who is your favorite character, okay? This isn't a trick. This isn't a way for me to get the algorithm to push the video, although it does help. This is actually really important to the rest of this video, so please comment down below who's your favorite character from what show, and yeah, like the video. Okay, you got that character in your mind? Now, here's the question. Is that character a side character or a main character? The side character is defined as a character in a story that often supports the main character or protagonist, but doesn't appear as often and isn't the main focus of the plot. Side characters are important to the story and may even focus on their own subplots. So, now that you kind of got a little bit of a description of what a side character is, was your favorite character a side character? The chances are it probably was. Studies show that people who are asked who their favorite character is from their favorite movie or show, 9 out of 10 times it is not the actual main character, but a side character. It says that the most liked character is not the main character. But why is that? Well, today I'm going to explain the reason why I believe this is true and why there is a main character problem. And this is all, I did a little bit of research on it, but most of this is just my opinion on what I've seen from people, from what I asked from people, and just what I see generally in the comments of videos, things like that, and discussions I have with people on their favorite stories, characters, etc. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The role of a main character has a lot of weight on its shoulders. The main character has to be interesting enough to keep people going and reading the story. The main character has to have something in their personality to keep the audience wanting to see more. This means that the main character has to constantly be overcoming changes and diversity. This means that the character has to start in a likable state for people to care about the show or movie, but also not good enough for us to want to watch this character or protagonist and to kind of want to see what he can do. Does that make any sense at all? Let me explain. The average main character starts off in a weaker state and is often in some kind of circumstance that keeps them in an average state until the plot is introduced. This can be a variety of things. What doesn't happen is the character is powerful at the start and in a mentally sound state. It's all about the struggle and growth is the reason why we want to watch this show. It's the reason why we want to watch these movies, and it's the reason why we fall in love with these characters. It's the thing that hooks us. As the show goes on, the other characters are introduced, and that is when the side characters appear. What makes a side character so loved is that there are very clear arcs in their story. The example I want to talk about today, and the thing that inspired this video, is Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z has many side characters, and many of the side characters are loved, especially a lot more than Goku. And one specific character gets a lot more love and praise than Goku, and that character is obviously Vegeta. Like I mentioned earlier, main characters have to start off in a likable or interesting state to make the audience continue the story, while side characters don't have to play by those same rules. The main character is carrying the story along so that all the other characters are allowed to do anything, and the side characters are also allowed arcs and different things like that, because when their arc ends, the main story continues on. This isn't the end of the series, it's just the end of that arc for that side character. Going back to Vegeta, he's introduced as a heartless warrior who kills with no remorse, and over the show slowly starts to change. He starts to struggle with his identity and flip-flop back and forth between being good, bad, liking Earth, liking the people around him, and hating the people around him. And this all peaks at Majin Vegeta. I'm not saying that Vegeta becomes a bad character after this moment, or that, he becomes a useless character. What I'm saying is that this part, Majin Vegeta and his final sacrifice, is the climax of his story, and pretty much the end of his complete arc. Think about it. After this, he just is consistently the same. He doesn't flip-flop anymore. If anything, he just grows stronger in the morals that he decided to follow in that moment. Vegeta completely accepts this new version of himself and literally and metaphorically kills his old self and becomes his new self. This character growth happens over multiple arcs and results in Vegeta being one of the most loved characters in Dragon Ball. But Vegeta isn't the only example of side characters getting more love and praise because of an arc. There are so many examples out there that I can bring up. I'm thinking about Zuko from Avatar, also Piccolo in Dragon Ball Z, which literally is in the same show. There's just so many of these arcs that we see in stories and stuff like that, and we continue to love them and care about them because we just love the idea of people growing and becoming better. I could go on and on about the different side characters. There's so many examples, but while the side characters continue to grow, get arcs, all this stuff like that, the main character is left feeling stagnant. And what I want to talk about today is Goku. Many people will point to Goku about how he has no character development and he shouldn't be the main character. While Goku doesn't have any drastic changes over one singular arc, he does grow as a character over time. It's just not easy to see, and it's not ABC like Vegeta's story. Without the main character, there wouldn't be a way for side characters to grow. While this isn't always the case, in specifically long-running shows, the main character can't change so drastic, or overcome these epic conclusions unless the show is ending. In stories, main characters change and grow, but they also have to keep going. There also has to be a reason for why the story has to continue. If not, then what's the point of us watching it? Another example I like to bring up is One Piece. Luffy hasn't changed much from the start of the story. The only thing that he has done is react to things around him and events around him, but he has not changed. Let me give you an example. Unlike Sanji or Robin, who have had these amazing arcs and develop as a character, Luffy's arc in the show isn't that drastic or noticeable. The main character is a force. This force affects the world around them, and it changes people around them. The reason people like side characters is because we see their struggles. We see them growing. We can relate to all these things. They're not this perfect human being. They're not this force of nature. They're human, and they have flaws, and they have things that they have to overcome. Tragic backstories, horrible things to get over, trauma, and all these things make us much more relatable than these perfect main characters like Luffy and Goku, who are happy-go-lucky and nothing ever wrong happens to them, and their life was just perfect, yada yada yada. And I know their lives weren't perfect, but main characters are oftentimes shown in this godlike figure, as in things go their way all the time and they really don't have too much of a struggle. And obviously, this is just two examples of this happening, but there's obviously clearly things in these shows and movies that are different. But most of the time in anime and comics and cartoons, these characters have struggles, and like I'm saying, this is just two examples, but I do feel like this is a main character problem. And like I said, studies show that a lot of people relate more to the side characters than main characters, and that's because side characters just feel so much relatable, and we can understand and see their arcs more clearly from point A to point B, and it just allows us to connect to the characters more. And there's nothing wrong with liking a side character. It's just that I feel like the main characters are a little overhated. Struggles and overcoming them are the reason people don't like main characters. It's because they feel unrealistic and they don't change as much as the other side characters do. But what you have to understand is a main character's role is to change the people and world around them. The main character has to believe in themselves. They have to conquer the whole world and stay true to who they are. I don't think main characters are here to be relatable, but almost in a way for us to be inspired by them and find strength in who they are. Main characters are doing the hardest thing in the world, which is believing in themselves and believing that those around them and the world around them can change and be saved. The main character is a force of nature, there to help the people around them and there to change the status quo. And they often get they're the chosen one, or they're destined to do stuff like that. But obviously, once again, this isn't always the case. In things like Harry Potter, where he's the chosen one, the destined one, but then also like Goku, he's not. He's a low-level Saiyan warrior who just works hard enough for him to beat other people, and he believes in his friends and his family and everything around him. That makes him stronger. So there isn't always a staple way of doing your main character, but also at the same time, I do want to give main characters the love that they deserved, but I'm not hating on the side characters either. I love both of them, but when I was younger, I definitely loved the side characters a lot more and hated how stagnant the main characters were. It was just so much cooler to see the side characters do all this cool stuff and have these cool, interesting arcs and stuff like that, while the main characters were just meh to me. But as I got older, I just became truly inspired by the main, and I understood that there's something to work towards. And that's also what the side characters are doing too. If you look at most shows and movies, the side characters are working hard so that they can also do what the main character can do. And once again, this isn't always the case, but just like the side characters and how we can relate to them so heavily, we can also relate to them too by them wanting to become better and become the best versions of themselves. And thanks to main characters, they're able to see that they can go above and beyond what they thought of themselves. They can go above and beyond what the world said to them, and they can go above and beyond anything as long as they put their mind to it. Because guess what? The main character is doing it right in front of them. So what am I going to leave you with, guys? I'm going to say this. Work hard, follow your dreams, and no matter what, don't give up on yourself. It's hard. It sucks. There's days where we just don't want to do it. There's days where we see people doing better than us, and we see people, getting all their dreams and all their goals are happening, and we're stuck here in the corner feeling alone and sad and feeling like life gave up on us. But guess what? Keep going. Keep fighting on. And one day we can reach our goals too. So keep being the best side character you can be, because guess what? Side characters rock. And they're obviously everybody's favorite. So I think I want to be a side character. I always tell people I want to be like a joke character that everybody laughs at, because guess what? The joke characters are loved and they don't have a lot on their plates and they just live a happy life. I'm Canned Ideas. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope I gave you a little bit of inspiration today. Talk to you guys later.